WebGL for Unity is taking an extraordinarily long time to update. So what we're doing right now is just getting Unity 505 Beta 7 as this was the next one to come out, shall we say. This should be interesting, yeah, we got a lot of plans going forward for what we're gonna do with this battle combat system, as it were. So, let's make sure we're ready. First thing we're gonna do, I suppose while we're waiting on Unity, there it is. Like, there we go. This is a bunch of music from Lucas King. And he's nice enough to say that you can use his music for whatever it may be. So here we go. Let's launch Unity. Hey, Alan Y and Carl 9, welcome to the channel. And I appreciate the retweets as well. Okay, the Unity launcher's changed a little. This is gonna be interesting. Let me show you what that looks like, actually. Yeah, they've changed the launcher up a little. Alright, well, let's go then. Yeah, standard warning here to take a backup and it will upgrade my scripts. So let's just give it a moment. Project config and everything. There we go. Nice. And the procedures have loaded. I'm gonna move back over here. Let's see that all the scripts work in the new version of Unity. Just gotta make sure, right? Each beta changes, so... yeah, okay. I'll take the charisma dump stat. That's fine for now. So press enter to confirm your stats, and a battle will begin. Now, you can see in the bottom left, those pieces of palette, I suppose, are in the wrong spot. Let's commence an attack. So what we're looking at here is, well, the current combat system, right? It's very similar to a lot of games, right? We've had 3 or 4 hours to work on it in total. I've incorporated, since the last video, we already had block, and we already had AC, and we already had defense. It just wasn't showing them as individual messages. So that's all I've added, is this negative 14 to 70, right? That shows my character's actual success rate here. And now, the only thing is that these sort of messages here cloud up a little bit the... I guess you could call this the hierarchy. That's what they call it, right? So the only thing we want to do is make sure that they are parented to the object that owns them, so that, the damage also will follow him as it goes back. Now, the only problem with that is that these little would-be health bars get in the way of this hit point display. So, we need to look at putting these would-be health bars below the characters. Alright? That's the first thing we're going to do here. So this should be simple enough. Just open either player or character, whichever one is handling the bars. It would be character in this case, because the enemies have them as well. Remember, as always, it's easy as just going under the gear and hitting edit script, and then eventually Visual Studio will come up. There we go. Did have to update. Alright, now, this is Battle Controller, but we're interested in character. We want to change the way that the health displays. So I believe, yeah, here we are. The health render is currently positioned at our position plus up. Yeah, okay. It does need to be above our character. But it needs to be below us as well. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. And I think that the target selector might even get in the way, but it's alright, we'll deal with it. So what we're gonna do here is change the position, and we'll add a new vector 3, because we want to add, well, okay. We might just be able to add forward. But I think it's like forward and left. Okay, not left. Left, small. There we go. So we're gonna say that it goes half up, half left, half forward. If it's incorrect, we'll know pretty quickly. Yep, looks like we went up in both directions. So it needs to go backward, which is apparently just back. And let's see which direction that changed. Okay, so it needs to go back a lot. And then it doesn't need to go left by the looks of it. But we'll see. It could also be the camera angle. Yeah, there we go. So, we need to say... What happens if we just go back twice? I suppose it's float. There we go. Alright, alright. So it doesn't quite work, because it's not relative to the camera, it's relative to the player. So we're gonna have to take... I wonder what happens if we position it down relative to the camera. What happens if we go forward compared to the camera? Which direction does that? That should be down, like below the characters. Yes, okay, so it is. We just need to go one direction forward relative to the camera, and probably a direction, would it be left or up? I think it would be up, honestly, but let's see. This could just keep it relatively in the same spot. It looks like that's what we've done. So let's look where the health bars are. They're now in front of the characters, which doesn't work in the case of the purple character. Interesting. Alright, alright. So we'll stay with just using up. Alright. I think it was 0.5. There we go. Because using any other direction at the moment will cause us issues. Yeah, there we go. Even that is not positioned great. It should be positioned directly above it, but... I suppose once the parent is set, I could use local position. That will help a little. I should also rotate it towards the camera. But do I do that or... No, I don't do that. Okay, that's important. That's a very important thing. So, health indicator here. Local position. Transform dot... Nope, actually, it's just vector dot up. In this case, vector 3 dot up. Divided by 2. Now, the one thing we need to look for... There we are. So, it looks like we are rotating it to the camera every late update. So that's fine. Once we're using the local position, we shouldn't have to worry about where it's, yeah, there we go. Now it's exactly on the player. Okay. Okay. So just for the camera angle, I need to move it up a little, but that's it. So divide by, divide. 1.5. Let's just go in there. So, still too low, but just how low? Okay, okay. Looks like we want to go by 1.2, perhaps. We don't want to collide with the white banner, little turn indicator we've got going on. There we go. Now we're properly above the characters. That may look a little weird from this angle, but it doesn't matter because these are billboards that follow the camera. So if this was, for example, first person. Hey, Alan Wythe, or Eleni, however you'd like that pronounced. I really do appreciate the follow. Alright, what do we want to do? Well, somebody had made an incredible amount of noise about this being a first-person game instead. So, you know what? How about I'll consider exactly what they wanted. Should make them happy, right? So, what we're going to do is say that this, right here, is the third-person camera. Now, I realize this is an empty point. That's alright. I'm going to put this right here. I'm actually going to put this, let's see. I'm going to do something a little funky here. So, from the scene point, right, scene objects, we're going to have cameras. Alright? Then we're going to put the main camera right up here in scene objects, down at the bottom. We're going to put cameras, 0, 0, make sure. We're going to put the third person camera underneath here and rename it to third person. And then we're going to add one more called the first person. So again, here, if you create an empty underneath an object, it will automatically be relative to that object. And then you can drag it. First person. Alright? So we might even have an over-the-shoulder kind of perspective as well. Don't worry about that right now. Just worry about these two empty transforms here, and then a script that we're going to write on the camera. And we're going to call this the camera controller. Very straightforward, right? New script. Make sure it's in the scripts folder. For whatever reason, Unity likes to make scripts by default down in the main directory. And I'm going to put this under UI. So, double-clicking on camera controller, right? We see a bunch of garbage that we don't want. Because we want to make sure that we are in the correct namespace. There we go. Then, we're not going to need all of these sections. There we are. Just turn the music down a little bit because it was up there. So the idea is that the camera controller is automatically going to find all of our cameras. And really, we should call these camera positions, but it's fine in this case. So what we're going to do is say that auto-wake, and I normally call these private. There we go. And I'm going to put this in a region called Unity. Oops, not Ned region, End region. There we go. Now, in awake, we're going to say that var t is gameObject.find. And we're going to look for something called cameras. There we go. This is a transform. Now, the bug there is that I need to put a return type for a method. Now, we're going to say that for each of the cameras underneath this, right, we're going to save that camera position. So, this is going to be a public read-only so that nobody assigns directly to the list. Cameras, okay? And this is going to be a list of transform. Transform being something under Unity Engine. Now, remember to include, in this case, link, because it's going to make accessing these a lot easier. There we are as well. Make sure to instantiate the list since it is read-only. And we're going to say that for each of the objects found below, we're going to add it to this list. And this is very easy, alright? We just say, watch this, cameras dot, and you know what, in fact, let's do a for each. A for each transform t in cameras. And in this case, it's not going to be in cameras. It's going to be in... Oh, transform T in camera positions. Camera positions. Camera positions. There we go. And what it is it's find component transform. Now, for whatever reason, we're not getting IntelliSense, the highlighting that you should in Visual Studios. So let's restart it. Double click. Here we are. Because something's not quite working, and it might be related to the new Unity version. I'm not sure. But either way, when I press dot, there we go. I was like, there's gotta be a way. So normally what you want to do is find... get components in children. There it is. And we say that we want transform from the children. Now, this will be a link. Alright? But I'm just showing you what it would be as a for each first. And we're saying that for each thing found here, we're going to add it to the list of cameras. Very straightforward, right? Now let's rewrite this in link. Cameras.add. Alright. And this can take any enumerable. So to this, we're going to say select, or I suppose, there we go, it's from. Now, it turns into a series of method calls, so really we should just do the method calls. So it's just like this. Find, and we can't use it bare, so we need to say gameObject.find cameras. And again, we're going to do this in line, because those are game objects, we now need to turn them into transforms. So we did that with get components in children, transform. And this gets you a list, should be, of transforms. Yes. Now, it wants it as an enumerable. Not like that, it doesn't. I could select it. There we go. I had misspelled transform, and that was very far on the right of my screen. So, given this list, we don't need any of this anymore. Alright, and now cameras is a public list. Now, unfortunately, I think even the public list won't show. Yeah, it doesn't. Alright. So let's go to debug. Still doesn't show, because it's read-only. That's annoying. There we go. List of cameras. Now, the reason we did that is because we want to see that when we hit play, both the cameras are detected. As they are right here. Unfortunately, the primary camera's transform is also listed. So, what we're going to have to do is remove, I think you could do it like this, the primary objects. So we're going to have to go like this, var go, because we only want to get references once. And the reference we want here is the transform. Alright, we're going to say add all camera positions in scene. Remove the container / parent object itself. Okay, that was a little ridiculous sounding. Hello! There we go. Wow, it looks like my live coding chat was not working. I just got all those messages now. So, welcome to the chat, simple user. Matt Hiandi. You told me how to say it even. The background music is the... What is it? Here you go. I'll actually link it to you. There we are. Hey, JC. This is not a golf game. This is a combat simulator of sorts. And welcome to the channel, Zavel Tenerizo. Let's test our camera positions. Here we go. So you can roll up the stats of your character. It's great. Welcome Metak, VCH, Marlon64, Fortitude. The economy simulator got to a point where I could use it pretty much as is. That'll be what goes into the game. There'll be more changes to it, but as a standalone game, I'm not sure. We wanted to have it so that we could, and I'm gonna roll some hopefully decent stats while I explain this. Wow, okay. +4 dexterity, 18 dex, and 16 wisdom. That's a fairly decent set except for that 4 charisma. Economy simulator, right. Well, it got good, so what we're gonna do is use that as a framework, along with this and a few other things, to make the larger game that we were working on. That's an incredible set all around. I'm gonna take that. So, as you can see here, this is a bit of a battle simulator. That animation is terrible. I've still yet to figure it out. Here we go. I do have to remove these bits of, these stockpiles being worked on in the background, right? But here's the actual battle going on. These, enemies, as well as myself, have random stats generated for them. I suppose you guys would be a little happier if I was using actual player models, and I can, but then they will look weird because they're not animated at all, and then they will look weird for the sake that they are naked. Either way, it's easier just to make this little ball, because I had to make sure it was explicitly aiming, right? The player here will actually look at the thing that he is fighting, and wow, let me attack. There we go. And then I must defend, because otherwise I'm going to die. Defend. Defend. Wow, I've lost anyways. What epic music to lose to. Hey, and welcome to the channel, HTAR, VrashQ, B Sinet, Ollie W, R Rupian Hero, and Foenus. And Geek Girl Coding. Alright, so, let's return to Visual Studio. Ah, stockpiles came back, get rid of those. They're not going to be used here yet. So, cameras. We were talking about making them work. Returning to the primary display, we have explicitly this, a list of our cameras. Now, we just need to take, in update, some sort of control that changes through the cameras. We'll also need to keep track of the index of our camera. Now, we could either have an index or an explicit transform. In my case, I'm going to use an index because I want to be able to change this from other places easily. Even though I understand you could, in theory, direct the... No, you know what? I'm going to make it like this. The reason why I'm going to have a generic target is because I might want to be able to change it from another method. And then we will also keep track of our index. Camera index. There we are, so that we can switch between the cameras, give it a keystroke. So, we're going to say that if the key, and we're going to use the key C for camera, is down, then we will, and we should be using a button, but don't worry about that. We'll do that after. Then, camera index plus if camera index is greater than the count of cameras, which I guess we're going to do count cameras, plural, -1, then camera index is 0. This just means that we'll loop through the cameras in order, and then we simply set our target. There we are, sorry. To exactly cameras at index. There we go. Now, during late update is when we're going to move the camera around, and we're going to move it to whatever the target is. All right? And we're just going to say that this transform position, remember this is optional, is target transform position. Same thing for our rotation. And now, going back to Unity, we should have a toggleable camera. So, here's the battle. Right. First person does not work. Interesting. First person does not work at all. It is not in the correct location. So, first thing we're gonna have to do is get these balls off the floor. Let's click on first person, right? Which is this little dot here, and let's move it up. Alright, simple enough. The first person in this case is going to be a follow cam. Yes, I know, that's not first person. Well, ooh, I see the problem. This needs to be tied to the player if we want it to be first person. Of course. So, instead of having this open list of cameras, we're gonna have to assign them manually. I'm okay with that. Also, this is, getting a little ridiculous. Let's try something a little less ridiculous for music, huh? Hey, Jelani. Welcome to the chat. And Sang747. Well, combat system. There we go. Let's get back in here. Yeah, don't mind this kind of epic music, but the other one is, it's not that scary of a situation right now, shall we say? So here's our third-person camera. We need to access that differently this time. In this case, we're not going to use a list of cameras. We're just going to assign to the list ourselves. That's fine. So clicking on main camera, alright, there's a list of transforms. We must make it, in this case, too long. And there is a target. We're going to say that the third-person camera is the first option, and a first-person camera is the second option. Again, we're going to do this by creating an empty underneath the player and calling this the first person. I don't have to say the word camera because I'm assigning them as a transform. Now, I could explicitly assign third person as the default position, but it should not be necessary. There we go. Given some very basic statistics, it doesn't really matter what. I'm gonna, again, go into first person and see that it's not great. So, let's click on the camera and see what settings of it are causing this problem. Well, interesting. The near plane clipping is fairly... yeah, that could be lowered. Now, it's also orthographic, so we're gonna have to attach either some settings to each of these, or... Yeah, we are. That's interesting. Okay. So we'll say that the transform dot... we're gonna have to get it from that somehow. We're also gonna have to have our own camera components, so let's get a reference to that. And this will be the private camera. Very straightforward. It's a reference to ourself. And we will have to get this during awake. And the only thing it's telling me is that Unity does also use this name, so I should say new to specify that I want to use mine. Now, what we also wanted was to take properties from this. So we're saying that the perspective or orthographic right here is based on the target object. We're also going to say that the camera dot field of view is equal to something as well. All right, these are going to be two properties set on the object. Now, we just need a reference to that. So, target, and then a public camera properties, target properties. There we go. And camera properties is something we're going to generate. I think in this case... No, okay, I will generate it in a new file. So, given camera properties, we're going to say that the orthographic is part of target properties. There we go. Same thing for the field of view. And it's going to say these don't exist, but you can have them generated as well. Here we go. See, Visual Studio will do a lot of this for you, and then you just got to fix it up after. So go over here, we'll see that it's created some internal variables, alright? That's fine. It's also namespaced it for us. It's done literally everything we need. So, what I'm going to do here is just make sure that target properties is assigned, and I've just typed some very random characters on the keyboard and it's gotten very upset. Alright, this will always equal target.getComponent camera properties. There we go. Now the only error here is that camera properties must be a mono behavior. Mono behavior if we're going to access it this way, which means we're going to have to use Unity Engine. Very simple. The fact that those are internal, probably going to be okay. So let's just go over here. We're going to say that there's an error. Now that's just because neither of these things, third or first person, currently has a camera properties. So, one there, and one over here. Now, for the Unity editor to see these variables, they cannot be internal. Boo-hoo. So we're going to make them public. There we go. Now we're going to say that the first person has a perspective of 70, and the third person has a camera size. So note, camera size needs to be there. I suppose I could use the field of view as that property, actually. So, if you're orthographic, right, then we will set the camera's orthographic size to the target properties.field of view. Otherwise, we will use that value as the field of view. So again, going into Unity, pressing start, and seeing what we get. Some incredible stats! Alright, press enter. Press C to toggle the camera to first person. And that's exactly what we should have expected from a first person camera. But hey, at least we could literally... Oh my god. Getting attacked in first person is somewhat intense. Now we can't see through our nose. We should be able to fix that. If I click on the main camera, which is just at the bottom of our scene objects, and set its near clipping plane to a higher number, we'll be able to see through our nose. We just want to make sure that this number is only as high as it has to be. Oh my god. These guys are literally just spearing you. Alright, so we're going to have to adjust a few things about the way that the enemy attacks, about the way that, you know, physics works, because it's not as if any of this is happening under physics right now. It's actually just teleporting the transforms around by a given number. And the way that they're facing is not working either, because you see when the character jumps back, yeah. Now, one of the things that happened here is that in first person, the health bars are darker, and the turn timer is not rotated towards the camera. That's not great. If I press C, you'll see that they are, but they're much brighter. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to look at. I suppose if the players were taller, not circles, then this would have worked just fine. So given that, we're gonna use this as is. Alright? This camera script does everything it needs to, and it didn't need link, and it didn't need collections. So we're gonna get rid of those 2 references, and then have a look at our character again. The turn timer is something actually handled by Battle Controller. So let's go to the Battle Controller, let's find the turn indicator, and let's see why it's not being rotated. Right, so it was being rotated once. It actually needs to be rotated every update. So, let's go to update and see where it's being moved. Looks like, looks like it's not. Alright, let's go to late update. There we go. Late update is exactly what we need. So, we're gonna say that the... Oh, that was redundant. Aha! I caught something. There we are. We're gonna set the rotation, position, and local scale. So now, hopefully, when we change our cameras, we will have everything following us. Let's roll some stats until we get a decent set with some dexterity, constitution, and strength. I'm okay with those stats. That's incredible, especially the intelligence and charisma. So press enter to select those stats. Press C to toggle the camera. We'll see that it didn't remember my request to see through the nose, because of course any changes you make in the game do not save, and that's a good thing. It lets you test things. So the viewport properties are just fine. We're gonna have to change how... What was it? How the camera was handled? No, I was gonna say that we want to change the first person perspective. So we're gonna move it up just a little bit, alright? And we're gonna angle it 15 degrees down. Now, if we hit play, there we go. Press C. This is a little better. This looks more like you would expect, at least. So let's, I'm gonna attack that guy. Okay, so, this looks a little better. Having, you know, looked down a little on the enemies. But, again, it does feel like the camera's actually above the character at this point. So, we're gonna have to adjust that a little. So maybe 0.3, okay? Wow. And then again, we're gonna have to play with the angles, decide what looks the best. You shouldn't necessarily be looking down on your nose so much. But hey. So we changed this to 0.3, kept the 15 degrees. Maybe even try reducing the field of view. I mean, some people like 90 degrees, but if you can see that much, it's going to be too powerful in a game like this. Then we're going to have to set the clipping to 0, because we do want to see our nose this time around. I mean, really, we just want to see our hands, but, well, yeah. You need to manually render hands. Because if you're doing a near-plane clip, for example... Yeah, let's see what the nose looks like now, okay? In first person. So we're gonna go get ourselves some stats. Woo, okay. That does not look great because, of course, there's going to be no light on the interior portion of your nose. So we could fix this by moving the camera forward, but then it will... I don't know. Let's try it. What happens if I move it 0.3 in this... Oh, I see. So it's going to be an issue now where, whoops, 0.3. If you're that close to the action... I think this will do just fine. We might have to not have a near clipping plane. There we go. I've just changed the near clipping plane to 0.25. That's not going to save, but it doesn't matter. The thing that I want to save is the... What would you call this? The position and rotation changes, the properties of the transform component. So I should be able to paste just their values. There we go. Having done that, Let's go to the main camera, change the main clipping plane again. So we decided that 0.25 was fine. And then, as a bit of a visual effect, let's add fog out in the distance, so that it's not infinite. We're going to leave the fog at its default properties, because we have to play with it to see what it'll look like. Right? The fog is completely invisible to you, the camera, generally. There we are. But is visible in first person. Now, we should just be able to darken the fog. And make it a little darker. Whoops. It seems this is a little louder, so let's just... There we go, turn it down. Hey, Ollie W. I do appreciate that. Alpha Red, welcome to the channel. Extreme Code TV. SRGT, live coding support, of course, and Zamir. How are you guys all doing? Now, fog like this does not work, okay? Especially with the way the skybox is. So, let's try linear. Nope. Exponential. Nope. Fog is not giving us the effect we want. So let's try a screen space effect instead. We don't have access to all of them because, well, you have to use Unity Pro to get render textures. That's fine though. Fog is a very simple effect. Well, maybe not very. That you should just be able to add to the camera. So we're going to clear our search, and we're going to look for effects. These are normally under effects. Now, problem is, you need to import them first. So make sure you go around your project. I normally have a packages folder for this purpose, and you import the package effects. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Now, it's good to look through these and see exactly what it's going to import, because you pretty much want to remove anything you're not going to use. Unfortunately, since this project is so early, I don't know what I'm going to use yet, so we're going to import the whole package. I'll show you later how you can pare down your dependencies in Unity whenever you want to. There we are. We've just loaded the package, and I'm going to take a moment here to put it in the packages folder. Ooh, except for standard assets, you're not allowed to move that. Now, you may wonder why. It's because you want it to load first. So we're going to open prefabs, thereby textures and everything else again. I'm going to remove a few textures that I wasn't using. There we go. Because I'm going to have to import that model again. It didn't quite work. And then, image effects. That's what we were doing. So, going down here, looking for image effects. We will apply. Let's go through. Anti-aliasing is great, but not for this. Bloom, again, great, but, you know. How about color accumulated motion blur? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Then we're also going to do a camera effect. Oh, interesting. You could do a camera style motion blur as well, huh? I might consider that. Alright. Tint shift, depth of field. Nope, nope. Although, I do like me some depth of field. We're gonna have to configure that manually, because there's a lot of fun stuff you gotta do to make it look good. What I'm more interested in at the moment is making sure that we get our fog. I just gotta go through, see if there's any other effects we might need. Edge detection is incredible, but not for this. Displacement, again, incredible. Global fog. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Screen space things. Not really sure, honestly. We don't want noise. But screen space obscurance and screen space occlusion. Let's try them all. We're going to be able to tell very quickly because I'm going to make changes to each of these things while the game is running. So, launching the game, pressing R a few times and selecting some stats that I'm okay with. Whoa, okay, so depth of field is not set correctly. Everything is either that or it's the motion blur. Let's see. Let's go to depth of field. Select visualize. We'll see that it's all foggy right now because we're not at the good distance. So we want to set our focal distance to 50? Doesn't seem like the focal distance is doing anything here. Let's say that we're focusing on the player. Okay. Now, we're still visualizing all white. Does it not work in perspective, perhaps? Orthographic? Nope. So there's still something wrong with our settings. Let's try using different aperture sizes. Nope. Not useful either. How about the focus size? Why are we visualizing all white? We should get some depth on these objects. And is it motion blur causing the blur? No, it's depth of focus causing the blur. So there really is something wrong with the focal length. Again, let's try it in first person. And see if we can get it anything other than all white. Hey Mihai, welcome to the chat. As well as Randall Flag and Walk 3L. Something is wrong with our motion blur. Sorry, not the motion blur, the focus. Let's go back to focusing on nothing. This is getting a little better, so white with some black in the back. Let's, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. 6 is going to be your focus distance. And then we got to set a size. So we'll make it, let's see, 0.1. Let's just make it 0.5. There we are. So, now if I turn visualization off, what is blurry? Is it things that are very close or things that are very far? Looks like things that are very close are now blurry. So let's move our focal length around. Let's... Do I have to move it very far? Because what happens if we set it as high as 20 and turn the visualization off? Okay, so it looks like anything in the white is blurred. Now that's interesting because I would have thought that would be near blur, but I mean, oh well. Let's just see what we can do with these settings. Hey Sarg747, I do appreciate the follow. Now, I will eventually be using the DX11 blur, but it's got a lot of options, so we're just going to get to that eventually. So we're going to say things at 0.2 are blurry. And we're going to say anything past, what is it, 6, I said? 8, 10, 12, 12. Does that make them blurry? Is it 15, 18, and 20? Looks like 20. And again, it seems to blur the near, which is not what I'm trying to do. Alright. How do you make it blur the far? Not like that. That makes it clear. That only seems to affect things that are near me. I've somehow inverted the blur a little. I don't know how. Seems like a bit of a feat. Oh, does that work? Does that actually work? That makes them black and the nearby white. I want to blur by distance. Not by being close, but by being far. They seem to be either missing something or depth of field isn't meant for that. I mean, you should be able to focus on anything. This is a good point. Let's try turning off global fog. In fact, let's just turn off every other effect for now. Since we know motion blur was one of the effects, but it wasn't the one causing our issue, really. So what happens when we're attacked? Okay, seems the thing that's close is still what's blurry. So, given that information, the black is apparently the blurry range. So does that mean that if we... Nope, that makes everything at distance blurry. Does that make things close sharp? Yes, it does. So it needs to be something like that. It's an interesting problem. I didn't think that focusing was going to be a problem. But it seems to be that with enough of an aperture size and a big enough distance, did I too much aperture? Not enough? Not enough. Okay. It's a certain value where it just is. So it's going to be in front of us by 2. Let's get out of the visualization. So as the enemies come close, they should become clear, as they do, and then they fall out of distance. So the only thing we're going to have to do is tweak this distance a little. That seemed to do it. Does that mean that they are in view? Yes, it does. One person up top there, though, not quite in view. So let's increase this a little. 7.5. Move it towards us. There we go. Gotta visualize. Looks better. So now if we hit C... Yeah, okay. So depth of field does not work in orthographic. So this is going to have to be a feature that we only have in first person. And even then, you want it to be optional. Well, knowing that, let's copy these settings, because they work better now. Paste them back. Paste. Delete this component. because I just pasted it as a new one. And then turn it off. We know it works, so we don't have to worry about it. So now let's try every other component. Let's start off with motion blur. It's going to be by far the easiest one to show. So, okay. Motion blur for movement is what we're interested on mostly. That's ghosting. That is not a good effect. Now if we make it a lower value. Okay, not enough. So let's try... Was it 0.5? Yes. That is a little better. Our own player seems to suffer from that motion blur though, which, well, I mean, okay. These things are going pretty fast. So let's change it to like 0.4. 3.5. What, we just want to play with it until it's only that a fast object is affected. There we go. It looks like 0.4. So we're going to keep 0.4 from the default 0.8, and then we're going to continue down to the next. Just repeat this process until we've tuned all of our image effects for our scene. So we've just added a global fog. We're only going to see that in first person. Now I think we do need to have the global fog turned on for it to be visible. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, so this height fog should be our distance. Ooh, that starts looking kind of interesting. Because what I'm trying to do here is basically simulate a view distance, you know? There we go. And then the start distance, if it starts at 0, or if it starts at 50, doesn't seem to affect it. So we'll say it starts at 0. The density we can change here from 0 to 10. 10 being a bit insane. Let's go for a 3. We'll say that anything within 30 is safe. 20? 20. Then our actual fog distance of 3. Normally you exclude far so that you can show off the skybox, but I don't know if I want to. Looks like this is purely a height fog. So let's copy this setting. Copy. And we will paste it back because it's better than the defaults. Paste. And now we just have 2 screen space things to worry about. But let's go to our lighting, and we'll fix up the global fog. It has to work, whoops, in both modes. So, first in orthographic, it looks just fine. Now, here it does not. There we go, exponential squared. And apparently you can't make it completely black with a sky of white. There we go, 0.01. Go to our camera, make sure it has fog applied. Then we're going to see what screen space... Right now it doesn't do anything, but it will afterwards. We're not going to worry about that or depth of field yet, because they both only apply when you're directly seen in first person. We're just going to worry about the fog. There we go, 0.01, that was already fine. We did want to choose a darker color, however. And we wanted to change the skybox. So let's choose a skybox. Because the default one is not great. The easiest way to choose a skybox is by going to the Unity Asset Store. Let's look up skybox and say that we're looking for something free. Alright. So we look around. There's a classic skybox, a fantasy skybox, and a few wispy skies. It looks like the classic skybox might do us fine. And it is just a few images. Are there materials for any of these skyboxes, or do I have to apply them myself? Good. They come with materials as well. So again, I'm going to put this in the packages folder so that I can keep track of the fact that it is a package. And Unity handles tracking the author and license and everything else based on your account. You can always see a list of all of your downloaded packages and where you're using them, as well as delete packages you're no longer using in the asset store. So we're going to give this a moment. I'll show you the primary display. Not really anything to see, just the fact that this is still attempting to decompress all of those JPEGs. My god. I was with people in JPEG, it looks ugly, but I mean, hey, it's supposed to be the best compression for looking okay at the expense of the actual pixel data. I understand that if these are based on real photographs, then, well, JPEG is sort of the only option. Because you can't just put a CR2 in the Unity Asset Store. That's the Canon RAW format. Anyways, we're going to assign our skybox now. We're going to go through them, decide which one looks okay. So let's look at the sky. And let's choose... danger. Right. Looks like we can select the time of day. Wow. Alright, sky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get the hell out of this. Sun needs to go to hell. I don't want no sun in my realm. Alright, but you can't actually look up. So let's just pick one for the color. It's a shame these have a ground color in them. Because, well, I was hoping they didn't. Let's press enter. Look in the first person camera and see that the fog settings don't work like this. We might have to choose a brighter day. Yep, it would look like the day is the source of most of our light. So we're gonna have to choose a proper HDR skybox. Not one of these. So, I'm gonna set it to the first thing that works as a skybox, just so I can delete it. There we go, default skybox. And I'm sorry, Classic Skybox, but you won't be missed. That would be okay for some games, not for something that needs HDR. See, and I don't need planet skyboxes either. I just need a bit of a color, shall we say. This might do much better. Day. See, that's fine. Download. High atmosphere and some mountains, huh? Alright. I'll make sure to read your license as well. Just have a bit of tea while we're waiting for it to import. I know I am. Alright, so day night, again going into the packages folder, and then we're gonna change our skybox until we like it. Whoa! Okay, so we have real colors from these ones. Looks like I can use any of them. They all look really nice. Alright, let's use early dusk for now, because then we can do a lot of things with our fog to make it look dark and mysterious. First thing. Gray is a terrible color for fog. You need to choose something that's close to your skybox color so that it's not visible around the fringe. Now if I choose attack, and then we look over here, there we go. You can see the guy to our right, and if we press C, we can see the orthographic view is a little silly. It doesn't have any of the fog or image effects, but hey, that's fine, right? It's more of a tactic or strategy view, the orthographic one is. I keep calling it orthologic, but yeah. Hey! Well, Mom made you a cookie. It's 85% carbonized. Did they, wow. I guess they must have left it in there forever. But hey, welcome to the chat, X Okamin, X John C. Patterson, and Deblon TV. Also Helgi98 and Davzone. What are we missing? Well, besides the fact that the first person looks a little weird still, save. Is that our fog doing that, or is that a reflection from the HDR? No, that's just part of the skybox. Okay. So we need to make sure they can't look down either. That's fair. I wonder if we can make... No. So again, it needs to be the same color as the background. I'm going to make it black, and then I'm going to make it a very high exponent so we can see. And we just want to change it where you don't notice the edges of the grass. There we go. And that's it. Now if I go back into the game one more time, we're going to reduce this exponent here, just to make sure that the fog makes sense. I think it's like 0.01. Yes, 0.01. Now remember, this doesn't even take into account dark lighting yet. This is the bright day of sun. So let's turn down our directional light. First we're going to tint it a little blue, just like the sky. I said a little, not a lot. Then it's going to get really dark in here. Now, I'm going to do darkness using intensity. 0.5? I don't know. Let's see what that looks like. Let's roll ourselves a character. Ooh. Orthographic view, not so useful anymore, huh? It fixes our brightness, though. We do need to have better vision, though, at distance. Now, remember, there was a way I was going to implement that without changing just the lighting. Well, we've got soft shadows. Make sure they're 0.8. They should not be perfectly black. That would be terrible. Terrible. Now we're going to make them fairly bright, and then we're going to add, actually, sorry, fairly dark, because we're going to add one light around the player itself. And this is the player's vision radius. It's not going to give off light. It will be only visible to the player. There we go. And it's not going to be quite that obvious either. I'm going to refract it around. So it's not going to be visible in like that, like as a light. It will be not bounced. It will have a very low brightness, but a distance. Distance of like 20. Alright. And it will only be visible to you. Okay, good. I had to check that the other types of lights were not applicable in this situation. So here you can barely tell. So if we turn gizmos off, you shouldn't be able to tell at all. There we go. And again, the target selector should be more illuminated than that. And your local vision radius should also be a lot better. There we go. Because things should come into view, if I had to explain it. There we go. And then the directional light. See, if the light was 0, that'd be interesting, because the light would only be coming from you. The thing is, it can't literally come from you. Oh! Okay. One thing worth noting. Ambient intensity. We made it so that things do not give off their own light. There's an ambient intensity of 0. Just make sure we have a target selected. Oh, I see. Our target died. Alright, well, I just went through the lighting settings. I'm sort of okay with the way they are already. Now, the settings around the player, I am not okay with. Say it was 0. And then we had a light coming from the player of 1. And then we'd also have to have a light above the player. But what happens if we take this light and put it above the player? Looks like that might work. I mean, it is parented to the player, so that looks interesting. Now, it shouldn't have lit that one little sphere, but this at least gives us a vision radius that actually matters without using the global lighting. Do we have any global lighting? No, I turned it off. So that could be a way. There we go. Let's have a minimum amount of global lighting so that there is some vision. It's dark. Most of the light comes from your player. Well, above your player at least. So if we go into first person and we go to attack the guy in the middle, make sure that there is our point light here. This should be named like character light or something, but oh well. Right. That is intensity. 0.7.1. So 1 intensity for the light that goes around the player. And the distance. The distance is going to be as far as you can see. So in this case, 30. And if I move the light a little lower down, there we go. Then it seems to illuminate the player better as well. So I'm going to copy the light, paste values, there we go. I'm going to move it down. I think it was 2 we decided was a good location. There we go, 30. Do not draw a halo. Halo. There we go. Now we have our lighting. This sphere, called bubble, is not meant to receive lighting. There we go. No light probes, no reflection. Does it still receive lighting? Yes, it does. It's a little weird. What about no motion? What is a motion path? Does that apply to scaling? No, it does not. Interesting. Well, we could change a shader. What if we make it not cutout, but fade? Or do you have to use transparent? Okay, so fade is possible. Are we going to have to make it smoothed or bounced to make the light make more sense? Ooh, the glass ball looks interesting. So a glass ball does not receive the light. Boop. There we go. And it was just the default alpha that was weird. I suppose it should also have some sort of illumination of its own. Yep. Because otherwise it's a little gray. Let's illuminate half. There we go. That's visibly a battle bubble. Finally. I don't know why that was so complicated. Transparent things in Unity, man. They just don't work. Oh, hey, Paluna. Welcome to the chat. The stream, the cat, everything. Also, Cheng, Cha, IGNC, I don't know how to pronounce that at all. Colonel Bundy, Wanket, and Skazak, welcome to the chat. What is happening? A combat simulator is happening. Alright. Boosh. The motion blur, again, a little ridiculous for the numbers, but it works fine on the people. We're going to have to change the way that their animations work. It shouldn't be quite time delayed like that. You should be taking your action while the next person is considering theirs. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is have our, what is, I think it's Battle Collection doing that. So we're going to load Visual Studio. We're going to go back to Battle Controller. Now the thing we want to do here, Battle Controller, is change the speed of the round animations, which are right here. They might even be in attack. Looks like they're in attack. So, gonna go over to character. We're gonna go to its attack, which is an I enumerator, so that it can be called over time. And we're gonna change the speed at which it moves. So, it's gonna move instead of plus 0.2, it's gonna move at plus 0.1. Alright? So we're going to have this person approach the enemy based on their actual movement speed, which in this case is not changed by strength, dexterity, or constitution, so don't worry about it too much. I need to make that a little less gray. Yeah. And then let's see what attacking looks like now. Alright, fair. The pulling back is a little ridiculous, but the attack seems to be okay, speed-wise. Should be a little less linear. So maybe if the speed... That's a lerp, huh? And speed is 0.1. We want to make it multiple somehow, you know? See what happens. We want to make the speed a multiple. So what we're going to do here is hopefully attack, I guess, the center target. There we go. Oh, right. We get attacked first. So, yeah, okay. I mean, it starts off a little jerky. Maybe that's fine. 0.15, start them off a little faster. And then we just need to change the speed at which they pull back. So their pullback speed is right here. And same thing, we're going to say that it times equals 1.05 and starts at 2. As it's a slurp, these will be completely different results. But we're still interested. Ooh, 17 strength. Now we can make this less emissive live. There we are. We're going to attack, again, the center target. We don't want there to be downtime. Somebody should be attacking while the next person is thinking about their ability. There we go. And pulling back is still a little too fast. They also trade the blow far too quickly. So we're going to add a little bit of a delay, 1.2. And having done damage is going to be 0.7. So we're going to force 2 seconds of your, I suppose, animation in this case to actually be effective. We're going to change our speed, 1.2, and see what happens. All right, come on. Changing both these whiles is just going to be a lot of trial and error. Yay! That bubble makes a little more sense. The growth, again, of the bubble is sort of slurped, just like these ones are. Alright, that attack speed is fine. The hit is fine. The pullback is even probably fine. The idea is that while one person is attacking, the other person is still thinking about their attack. So he pulls back just in time for me to get my attack out. And vice versa. We're also then not forcing motion blur to happen during the regular combat phase. We are going to want to change the motion blur. It's a little high still. So, clicking on our main camera, going under motion blur, we're just going to offset the value just a little bit, 0.3. And it's getting about time for me to make another pot of tea. It happens. Hey, welcome to the chat diagram, Baz3L. I'm not gonna pronounce that, sorry. Johnny Dark and Nuno Malix. Yeah, I mean, it would be, The thing about the way that D&D handles it is that you're always looking at your target. Now, the reason for that is that if a person comes to attack you, you can actually get flanked. And I'm gonna have to show this. So let's create some visual indicators of flanking. On the player, we're going to create a quad. This is gonna be a very simple indicator, alright? So first we need to make sure it's looking in the right direction. So we're gonna go like that. And then we're gonna go like minus 90. There we go. We're gonna move it to 0.2. We're gonna make it small. And we're gonna move it out from the player. There we go. So this is the idea of a side. Now, I guess we're gonna have to also angle it up. There we go, just so you can see it with the way the light is. The idea is that if you're getting attacked from anything behind this point, so we also need to move it back, is that you're going to have a trouble dealing with that. See, that's approximately, well, it's completely outside of your periphery at that point. We're going to have to rotate it as well, so negative 20 degrees for where this one is. Then we're going to duplicate it and create a back skirt in the other direction as well. Now these may look a little funky, but don't worry. We're going to be using them for actual detection of the hits. They don't need to be much, and they don't even need to have a mesh afterwards. So this one, 90, again, positioned the opposite. There we go, 0.6. And this one has to be rotated as well. Now, that Z rotation is not correct. So let's fix that. There we go. The rotation should actually be... I don't know. What is that rotation? I suppose it's like that, huh? Okay. 60. Yep, that'll do. So these are behind the character. Alright? Perfectly behind the character is pretty much guaranteed to catch the guy surprised. So we need to make an indicator for the back as well. So -2 is fine, but no rotation. And in fact, this is probably going to be -0.2, -0.445. There we go. Then we're just going to let it be in the middle. How much are we going to have to move this out from the character? 0.6. Let's just look. Make sure there's just as much distance in every direction, because these are just going to be... yeah, they're just going to be combat indicators, okay? I'm going to make a 0.7 and 0.1. Same thing here, 0.7 and 0.1, 0.7, 0.1. Then I'm going to give them a color to indicate this as well. So this and this. Here we are. Because they only really care about your direction in a grid sense. A grid sense has, you know, 8 directions. This shows 3 like this. It's going to be side-on directions and side-forward directions as well. And these rotate with you. So back left and back right are going to have to be... we need some indicator materials. So let's duplicate enemy. And call this indicator. And then we're going to make another one. Indicator red and indicator orange. We'll make the red one red. And the orange one orange. There we go. Now we just have to assign them. And the 2 oranges. The orange doesn't seem very orange. There we go. Move the hue further away from red so they're not confusable. So this shows you that if you're attacked from the side, you're not going to be able to deal with it. And just give this a second to start up. I'll show you exactly why that matters. So we say we are attacking the guy at the top. Notice how the indicators near the bottom show us that that would be a problem. Now, this is why I have put the people in such a way like this, right? As well, the angle of those indicators. I can't make them face the camera, but I can make them face up. So that's what I'm going to do, is put the indicators under the player and have them face up. So let's change their position. -0.4. And then we're also going to have to change their rotation, but only one of them. So let's make sure we change the correct rotation. Like that. 90, 90, and 90. There we go. Now, they don't look as good just on the ground, I guess because they don't match up. Yeah, they don't. What the hell? That's 0.6. These are 0.3. Does it need to be... I don't know what's going on with that. It just doesn't look right. We could try 0.7. Oh, I see. The issue is literally in their size. Let's say that the back is smaller. There we go. Because we don't want the back to be too powerful either. We want to make sure that... Well, I mean, if somebody gets behind you, right? In a D&D sense, you are dead. There's no way to handle that otherwise. It's a bad situation. You should never get yourself into that situation where a combatant, somebody with a weapon, is behind you. Given these rotations, hopefully the indicators will work a little better. Let's see. I mean, I should just have it actually generate a ring, but then I'm going to have to make ring segments. You know what? I guess we could do ring segments in Blender. Let's go open up Blender. Here we go. So, what we're going to do, this is our box. We're going to make it smaller. In fact, we're not. We're just going to make our empty. So you see the empty up here? We just have to name it. This empty is going to be called segments. All right? And then what we're going to do, delete our cube. Instead, we're going to make a torus. And we're going to cut the torus up so that it is an indication of direction. So it is going to be 1, but it's going to be thin. There we are. It's going to have a limited number of vertices. 2 might even do it. 4, 6. I'm going to have to see what looks okay. 3. Yeah, okay. And then, does that make the inside valid or not? Yes, the inside is valid with 3. Okay, and then the segments around need only be like 8. If there's 8 segments, this handles both... Well, there's only one behind. That's the thing. So if we instead look at it like this... There we go. That's pretty much what we want. Let's just rotate it. Very simple creation. Just want to make sure it works, huh? Is it going to be 20 degrees? 25 degrees? I really hate rotating circles. 20 degrees. Nope. Wow. It's 22.5 degrees. That's upsetting. Alright. There's a torus. I can use array to have it split. That's fine. I do need to move some things around to be able to see chat and Blender. I have 2 monitors at the moment. Yeah, I could dissolve the edges, but Actually, wait, I just want the torus for the shape. Let's dissolve the outer ring entirely. Because then I can use solidify to turn it back into something I want. So let's dissolve, let's even just delete the edge. Delete vertices. Because this is all I need. Using solidify and a number of other modifiers, I'll be able to obtain the shape I'm actually looking for. And in fact, I should be able to select... Oops, not the top. The bottom. And give ourselves a little bit of a contour. There we go. Now, let's change solidify a bit. The thickness. 0.05. There we go. And then we're going to have to split these into segments. Sometimes I just play around with these numbers and see what happens. Sometimes they do something. Sometimes they don't. They normally don't do anything when I'm doing just this. I do not want to flip the normals, and there's no issue of them. See, I don't understand only rim. That doesn't seem useful to me. Alright, and then we're going to apply not a bevel, because that doesn't look great. But maybe... Well, actually, let's see. What options of bevel do I have? That would give me the cut lines. The bits that I actually want to split apart. So maybe that'll work. But I don't like what it's doing to the top rim. So I suppose we won't use a bevel. We can just manually split that. And then... What else am I looking for? Not a subsurf, because that will create more edges. Alright, so we're just going to apply this. Yeah. And then we're going to split each of these apart. So I can separate by face selection. Yes. So we'll go like this, and we'll just select around each one. And do... Is it P by selection? Yes. There we go. And we will have to cap off each of these, but we won't handle that until after. I'm sure there was a way to do this with a ray and a rotation, but, oh well. I don't blender much. I should have also assigned their material before separating them. Alright, and this parent object can now be deleted. What the hell? Oh. Selection. There we go. Delete. Then we are left with each of these segments as a separate object that does need to be end capped, because they're not capped right now. Now, I will... Whoops. I want to size them individually. Huh. There's got to be a shortcut for size that says individually. Like, without changing their position. Yeah, I mean, the cough is a thing. Definitely does need to look like something, yes. Hey, Shadows Phoenix and Tech Andy 1. There we go. I did not assign a material, but you can do that out here for the most part, and then giving them all the same material is not going to be an issue. That being said, I do want to have a distinct forward, and the forward be green, and the other directions be bad. There we go. Then we could assign that same green material to the 3 front faces. Alright, these are forward. Good point on deleting the bottom faces, so we will do that. Unfortunately, yeah, not really a quick way to do that, but this works. I keep going back into the delete mode too quickly. There we go. Because yes, there is a good point there. You will not be able to see the bottom half. Now, side on. Oh, wow. Why did I make that forward? What am I doing? This is forward. This over here is one of the sides. So we're going to copy this. We're going to call this indicator side. We're going to call this indicator front. Now let's give side a color. What was I going to use? Red, equal parts red and yellow, but a lower part for both. There we go. And then the back is going to be orange. That does not look like a great color. I guess I just can't make it equal parts. There we go. And then the back portion is going to be very dangerous. This is an indicator side back. We'll give it a much darker color, so we'll replace the amount of red with a very low amount of green. There we go. Then we'll replace the black with red. Now, I would normally use exclusively cycles for this. So we're going to have to play around with it a little. The green, little bright still, but really I should make them all bright just in case. Interesting. If I add any blue component. There we go. Now the orange. The amount of orange was fine. I just need to make it a brighter color. Whoops. 0.3. There we go. Same thing with the yellow. There we go. Now, the only special thing you may have noticed is that I had to put everything under a parent empty. That's because the way that I export Blender models, as long as they're under a parent empty like this, just by pressing F2, I will save all of these objects in one place together. You do have to make sure to save the blend file itself first, though. So for now, we'll call this ring indicator.blend, and then we can select any piece of this object and press F2. Now, what error did we get? Let's see. Failed. Right, they're not assigned. Let's go to the drop down here, and we'll see that these pieces of torus are not actually assigned under segments like they should be. They have to be parented. That's how this works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there we go. They're not named. That's fine in this case because we won't be using their names. Then we press F2 and it exports. Image of magic. Magic. Let me look at magic. Magic. Oh. Wow. That is goddamn magic to me. I was like, there's gotta be an option for that, literally. Select multiple. Change my type to pivot point. Individual origins. No! That still didn't do it. What the hell? Individual origins. Manipulate center points. It's not doing it. The hell? And if I don't use manipulate center points, they're still sizing together. Interesting. And of course I can't use edit mode because you can't select multiple objects like that. Use the cursor to scale. Yeah, they are scaling together for whatever reason. Let me try using... Nope, not relative to cursor. Or bounding box. I'm going to try all the modes. Individual origins. Active element. Origin to geometry. Origin to geometry. Okay. Interesting. It's got this sort of weird selector now. Okay. Now it goes to... There we go. That'll do it. I'm not sure what that was, but I mean, hey, it's working now. Now I get some neat little lines to all of the objects, too. Now, the one thing that I should have done before I disconnected them was actually link up the edges. But hey, whatever. You learn later, right? So, pretty simple. Just fill in the face here, because there is still the edge. This would normally be something the player can't see, but in this case, they will be able to see the edges of each box. Whoops. I need to watch out that I don't select side pieces. Yeah, that was a bit of a cancerous shortcut, but hey, that's how Blender works, right? All of the shortcuts are pretty ridiculous. No, I lost one of the edges. Okay, I'm gonna have to build that edge. That's fine. Like crap. I need that one more edge along the side. For whatever reason, it saved that edge for the other ones, but not for the green one over there. Oh well. Again, you can normally choose Alt-Right Shift, but that doesn't work on this edge because there are 4 edges along each one, so it can't tell which one I'm trying to use. Shit! I just pressed a button. I don't know what I pressed, but I did it. And the cursor thawed for a little. Alright, edge selection mode. I don't seem to be lost at any of the edges anymore, so... I mean, I say that, and the next one I edit is going to have a missing edge. I like the dot key. I've assigned it to my mouse, where it's very easy to just quickly see where I have selected. Whoops. There we go. And that should be the last one we have to fix. Yep. And now, do I want to move the inside edges down? I shouldn't need to. The only issue I could run into is if they are backwards, but we'll see. So F2 again to save. And in this case, it goes to a folder called Blender Exports. Let's have a look. Oh, really? You only need 2 of them? That's interesting. Do you select just the top and bottom, or the top and left? There it is, segments. Now I can copy this in. Top and bottom. Okay, so you use the bridge edge loops type thing. but just automatic fill. That's really nice. Ah, okay. Yeah, I guess because it would be smart enough to yeah, okay. Where is it? Combat system, assets, geometry. I'm gonna put this in... I keep forgetting that I put it under prefabs. There we go. And Unity is smart enough not to import any textures, unfortunately, but it is smart enough to import at least the colors. So, I should be able to delete whatever the hell we've done here. So, delete, delete, delete. And then place a segments on the player. Oh yeah? I don't know if I need to worry about that, honestly. Because the script that does the exporting is supposed to make all of the origins relative to the parent empty cube. And I'd like to know if it is or not. So we'll test it semi-broken first to see if it is. Let's see. It imported all of the materials, or, well, it made materials for each of the colors at least. There we go. I need to tell it that the DAE file does not contain a rig. And then I should be able to assign segments underneath the player. There we go. Now we just need to put it lower. And there was one more thing we had to change. Right. When it imports these, it always makes them glossy. Yep, my F2 to export thing is supposed to fix all of the scale, all of the rotation, because normally when you import something, an FBX file for example, the rotation is bad. Just looks like I imported the wrong forward, which, whatever. It looks like it needs to rotate 90 degrees to the right. So we'll look at it just like this. We'll select all of them. We will need to change the origin for rotating, probably. Select all. Let's rotate. Yes. So we will have to change the origin for rotating. There we go. Let's rotate along the Z. Whoops. Active element. 3D cursor. Oh wait, I could just rotate relative to cursor. There we go. Median point? Well, I mean, I guess it's the same thing in this case, because I always make sure to center my cursor. If my cursor's not centered, I'm basically fucked. Oh yeah, I should also move this to the actually be inside the bounding box in the correct location. So, this is just 0.5. Nope. There we go. It has to be along the bottom edge, and it should be just a little smaller than the box, because that is Unity's scale. That bounding box is the empty that decides the file's name, as well as keeping it rotated correctly. Because by default, anything you make in Blender, for whatever reason, is 2 times too large for Unity and rotated permanently sideways, no matter how you rotate it in Blender. It's pretty annoying. It also comes in as scale 0.99999, even if you export without scale. So I basically gave up on that and said that, you know, just pressing F2 and having it save a file was so much easier. Because now when I go directly back into Unity, I'm just going to have to move this up a little now. Interesting. So we might have moved it too far down. It looks like it's converted the scale units to Unity's as well, which is even better. So let's set its position to 0. Go back here. Select these objects one more time, because it turns out that this bounding box itself is it doesn't really exist, right? It's literally just there so that when I press F2, this works. So again, there's so much faster way to import this too. Just click import assets. See? The issue here is that it's not gonna, yeah, it doesn't override. So, okay, I do have to paste it over. But even that is not bad if I do it correctly. There we go. Now, the only other thing is that these are darkly colored. That's to blame. You can blame Unity as well. It will import the color for whatever reason at half the value of Blender. Yeah. I can't re-import because it's not the same file. I save to a separate file and then have to copy it back into place. I would just re-import, but unfortunately it's not in the same spot. If you were to save a Blender file directly in the Unity folder, it would just work. But I'm not doing that. And what I mean by just work is it would literally export FBXs for you. But then it's got a bunch of crap. You have to delete the camera, you have to delete the light. It's much easier to use a photo box in Blender if you just sort of let it do what it wants. Like, using this empty makes it a little easier. So those are our directional segments. I suppose the color's not going to be as ridiculous if it's not directly lit, so let's just try it. Segments. They are a prefab. They are not part of the player because they don't need to be. They'll normally only be shown during an attack to identify where the attack happened. Let's get... We want to get some decent strength and dexterity. There we go. And now, as we turn around, our segments should turn with us, and thus our turn area, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is pretty simple. Yeah, there we go. So we can actually face the target we want to. And we can check which segment they've hit us onto. Hey, CP Botho. Welcome to the channel. Well, no, but with a defense of -1, he is less defensive than a standard defender. A standard defender would have a defense of 50. That is the versus number. The -1 defense would give you an effective defense of 40 from that 50. Sorry, let me click into the game because it doesn't right now. So you'll see that says 103 versus 70. That means I have a defense of 2 plus my standard of 50, right? He had a defense of 60. That is 5 plus 1. The 5 is the standard, 1 was his defense. This is how you succeed or fail at attacking somebody. For the most part, I can sit here and block because I got a decent dexterity. But they have a much higher attack rating on me if they attack me from one of those yellow or orange segments, as you can see. And the red segment is almost guaranteed to hit because I don't even know they're there. Hey, Deezen, welcome to the chat. There we go. Sorry, that's the noise in the mic stand. Gotta move it around a little, you know? Now, oh, am I even gonna survive this battle? Jeez. Alright, well, once I kill one of them, there should be... There we go. I mean, once there's less enemies, right? They can't do so much damage to me. That's the idea. Is it laggy? It's not laggy. You can watch the... Oh, I see. I see. On stream, you're getting it really stuttered. Right. Live coding only allows 10 FPS. So, they're moving around using an animation, but, you know, you can't see that on live coding, unfortunately. If I open up the debugger profiler, there we go, you can see that we're getting perfectly fine full FPS. It's more the issue of 10 FPS. Yeah, exactly. It's made for text editing. I wasn't sure what you meant by lag, if it was just the slow combat sequence, because that's intentional. Or when I looked over the stream, it was pretty obvious. It's like, oh, I see. I need to turn down the indicator size. Holy crap. Alright, so click on gizmos, drag the 3D icons much lower. Because that light icon was just huge in my way. So was the camera. They should be huge when you're next to them, just so that you can tell where they are. That's it. See, even as I move the scene camera around, it looks laggy, and that's unfortunately due to 10 FPS. Hey gangs, welcome to the channel. Alright, so this is the vision light. There we go. Now, we're going to put some enemies outside of the vision as well. Let's take one. I hate there being canvas elements. Alright, so 1, 2. I keep clicking on the canvas. There we go. We're going to copy these guys. And we're going to move them back here. Say that, alright, after you beat that one group, you should be able to fight this group. And you shouldn't be able to see them either by default. But we'll have to play with the light to do that. After the combat system is done, we'll do a little bit about the trading. Because the AI currently trade. The players do not. So, you know, that's not great. It would be nice if a player could trade too, right? Then we'll probably... See, the quest system's already done, so I don't have to worry about that. What other feature? Like, that's, again, why I'm just copying planes from my grass, is that, like, there's no point... Unity and Unreal Engine, basically any project for coding whatsoever, gets unwieldy the larger it gets, right? So it's much better, in my opinion, to work on something in smaller chunks like this, so that you can be sure that each chunk works before integrating them. So that's why the battle simulator is, you know, the battle simulator, and the economy simulator is the economy simulator. I cannot say simulator in 3 sentences in a row, clearly. Wow. That's an incredible piece of news. Hey, support. When do I get 2500 kbps? Because I saw there was a blog post about it, but when I tried, the server kicked me off, like normal. Is there some plan for that, or should I know? And then here we are. Here's first person, which is probably even laggier on stream. Let's see what this looks like. Oh man, at least the motion blur helps deal with the lag a little. The 10 FPS, because I could get like 15 FPS or something with 2500 kbps. I'd be happy with that. Alright, so, and you can, you can see the enemies out in the distance, but can you attack them? No, because they're not in your battle. So, I don't want to be able to see people out in the distance. That fog should be the color of my skybox. So let's, again, try and set fog. Let's use the eyedropper and select our background color instead this time. Click. There we go. So that was my fault for not using the correct fog color. So let's just go back in. Go like this. Crap. I don't know what color we selected just then. Let's play one more time. Yes. After you'd finished the battle, you'd be able to walk out there. Crap. Alright. We've found a bug in Unity Beta. I mean, it was gonna happen, but hey. Let's restart Unity. It was crashing because of an editor error. Hey, I love you and welcome to the chat, and... Mount Locker. I'm just gonna keep calling you Mount Locker. I'm sorry. It's probably not your name, but, consider some vowels next time. Or correct me. That's good too. Could just tell me what your name is, and I'll just remember that. I like that little marble. I don't like what it looks in first person, though. So let's copy the fog color, because we know that's necessary. click here, click the eyedropper, select the outside color, take the hex value, delete this, stop playing, break the editor again, paste the hex value, save our scene, close Unity, and start it one more time. The best bug. This is actually the first time I've encountered a reproducible Unity editor bug, so I'm definitely going to put a bug report out for it so that they can fix it quickly. See, that's the problem, Mahai. If you don't put vowels there, it's open to interpretation. Alright, so, if we go into the first person, we should not be able to see the enemies out in the distance. That's the idea. Oh, why can we still see them? The fog is not dense enough yet, I guess. Or it's just not dark enough outside. It might be the darkness, actually. Let me check what the outside light is. What is the skylight? Is there a skylight? Did I delete the main light? I might have. No, there it is. The main light is here, and the main light has an intensity of 0. So the fog needs to be black, I guess. Yeah, you can still see the horizon, but when I made it black last time, I don't know. It's kind of funny trying to play around with this, because if I set that to be brighter, the light, in the editor, save, and then go into the game, it gives me a different effect than changing the light in-game does. So it leads me to believe that the fog doesn't work well. Right, but Paluna, I'm trying to create natural lighting for interiors as well, so it's not merely based on the distance. Okay, so you don't mind that it's open to interpretation. Yeah, that's the idea. Give it a distance, I'll not draw them, but you also have to not draw things behind you, things that you can't raycast to. I'll basically have to do full visibility casting to do that, which... yeah, I guess I'll have to eventually. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do here, to optimize the lighting at least, is make all of the children of environment static, so that the grass can get some global illumination. Haha! Hey, DevZone, you get where it's from. That's exactly what I remember as well. I absolutely loved the series. And don't worry, the chat is not going to be, or the way to attack is not going to be literally 4 silly options in the bottom right that looks like Pokemon. No, this is a temporary UI just to see that it works. Normally, this will be you in real time designating your actions. The real time aspect is the fact that each player does their action. That's only a turn timer. It's real time otherwise. The idea is that the environment can continue to happen outside of your battle. That's why the action of attacking, going up to somebody, will actually have a delay, because that action itself is what takes time. See, like that. The hit was delayed. That's the idea. Now, for blocking and defending, the hit should also be delayed. So I'm going to have to modify that. That is an issue with our character's attack script. So, what we're going to do to fix that is click on our character. Oh, also, let's rename these enemies. There we go. Now, here we are. We're going to click on our player, not the segments. And we want to change the character script, so we're going to hit edit. This will open up Visual Studio for us because we let it crash last time. There we go. Just had to make sure that was actually working. Then we're going to go down and, given that our segments are purely for display purposes, our turn indicator is fine. Start the battle is fine. Hey, B3 Benzi. I'm gonna call you Benzie, alright? Sure, ask away. Everyone should ask questions. That's the whole purpose, you know? I can probably reduce the immediacy lighting on the character as well, so let's just turn that down. 0.75. There we go. Who? Honestly, I don't know. That's an interesting question because I just did not continue schooling after university. I did a little bit of university, didn't continue, ran out of funding for it, right? I didn't see a purpose. For whatever reason, I was better suited to learn languages just by learning them myself. Of course, that's going to be different for everyone, right? But for me, that's what I experienced. So let's go into first person. Ooh, the fog is working a little better now. Definitely having global lighting instead of lighting close to our character is better. So let's click on our character. Click. Let's delete his light. It's gone. Now, we're going to have to change the global directional light right here. Give it an intensity. Now, this may look like daylight, right? But I think our fog is going to make up for that. So let's go R. Yes, it does. Okay. So now we need only change the color for nighttime. Just a dark gray blue, you know? There we go. Roll some decent stats. Go into first person. Now we're going to have to adjust the camera's fog because things in a distance are still partially visible. Clicking on main camera, going to global fog. Actually, I wonder, is it a question of the fog's color? Let's go over to fog. And let's change the color to black. There we go. And see if that does it. Can I add grass? Actually, yeah. I should add some billboard grass and see what it would look like. Ooh, there we go. The orthographic view looks, you know, whatever. But the first-person view, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, okay, so definitely you can see that there's an issue. Having the fog like that, the black still shows enemies in the background. So I'm going to be hunting for a very specific color of fog by the looks of it. One that is the color of the background. It's a little silly of a problem to have, but, oh well, right? Again, not rendering things in the background would be how you'd fix it eventually, but I also want buildings and such to not have magic lighting. Alright. That seems to have gotten it pretty close. And unless I change the fog type, like exponential, actually, what happens if I make an exponential fog that's just far enough? Ooh. Especially with this music, huh? Alright, so, attack. It matters what I'm facing at. Let's face over here. Look into the background. And you can just see them until they get closer. Just barely. I think I'll go with that. So clicking on here again, we decided that somewhere around 25 was the best. And an exponential of 0.05, was it? Let's try 0.05. Let's go random a little more. We want stats that are strength and dexterity. Whoa, okay, too much. 0.02. Yes. We'll get some grass. I'd actually have to find some in the asset store. I don't have any grass billboards currently loaded. Let's have a look. Hey, ik ben like. Let's look for some billboards, shall we? Okay. Foliage could work. That should have grass in it. Do. Here we go. Does this have a grass? Or is it just trees? Yeah, that has a pretty Minecrafty bush. Alright. 4 fern. A fern. Oh god. It's not what I was looking for, actually. I was looking for a grass detail texture. Like, a billboard. Google might be better for this. For just searching for a billboard. Yeah, like, why do I need models for this? Let's get rid of the, pine. I'm not going to import that. I literally only want to import the grass. So no pine tree. Oh, there we go. It's grass 2.diffuse by the looks of it. And then grass detail 1, grass detail 2. Yep, the detail masks are all I need. So hitting import, this package will actually do what we need. It does have billboard textures. They were just hidden in the download. It's a little silly. So this is a plane. The plane does not support billboard textures. Only terrain does. Now, this is a substance material, so I can't necessarily assign the material in here either. So let's see what happens when I change... Let's try and add a fern. We'll see what that looks like. And then we'll see what the grass billboard looks like. So again, I deleted anything that I didn't plan on using. We're just going to drag a fern in. Wow, the scale of these objects. People just don't know. Alright, well, point 1. Soft occlusion leaves, huh? And that's your texture? Ferns? Okay. So you can use any flat texture for this. That's good to know. Let's change... Can't really change much about it, huh? And it has a really custom... Damn, their material is weird. Alright, well, let's see then. There is a piece of fern. Now, we're gonna probably make them all randomly sized, right? Hey, Android Catch. And Jerry on. So, that's a fern. Whatever. That's fine. I'm going to drag the fern back as a prefab now. Rename it to fern. And delete it. You may ask why. Well, because this is something that should be generated. So, where's our map generator? Well, we already have one in the other project, so we don't need to have a full-blown map generator here. Just something simple. Just random locations, you know? So, what I'm gonna do is have a environment. Needs a script, which is foliage. Foliage generator. There we go. We'll put that in the scripts folder, open it up in Visual Studio, and just have it place ferns at random. Pretty straightforward, right? Again, not namespacing our things for us. Whoops, combat systems. Is it system or systems? System, singular. Alright. Just need to make sure for local imports. So, our foliage generator here. Well, it's of course going to need to get a reference. I guess everything could just happen on start. Foliage is not that important, right? It would normally be on awake, but oh well. And then we will need a reference to the loaded resource, which I suppose we could do right here as well. So we're going to make a new... let's just have the prefab loaded. So public, what are we gonna do? We'll probably make a list of game objects, and we'll call these prefabs. There we go. Now if I assign this, like here, environment foliage generator, should have a public list of game objects called prefabs. Where is it? There it is. So now we don't need to have it in the resources folder. There we go. Now if we click on environment again, we'll see it's there. Now we just need to give it a radius as well. So public, yeah, we'll just make it a float. Radius. There we go. And we'll in fact put the radius first. And then we're gonna say that for, oh, and I guess amount. And we'll make this a slider, so using the range property. We'll give it a minimum of 0 and a maximum of, say, 64. And again, with the radius, a range of, say, 1 and 64. Radius above 64 in this case would not make sense, but would still be valid. And then, for each, there is a quick thing we could use in link for this, using enumerable. And we'll say that for each, a value that we don't use in enumerable.range, we will go to amount. Whoops, amount. There we go. The argument was 0. And then for each one, we want to instantiate a copy. So instantiate from prefab. The position will be random. And the parent will be ourselves. So actually, we're just going to assign the parent for now. There we go. And you do need to say as game object. Otherwise, it won't. It will give you whatever the hell it wants to. And I suppose that's object.instantiate. Although, no. Game object.instantiate. What is the issue here? Instantiate cannot be used as a type T. Okay, then what? Cannot be used as a type parameter as a generic method. Object instantiate T transform. There is no implicit reference. Really? Oh, right, because this is a list. So, just for now, we're going to select 0, but really it should be a random choice. Let's say prefabs.length. There we go. Now it's a random choice. So we'll instantiate this. And then the last thing we're going to add is a random size and a random position. So position is a new vector 3, random, a range of negative radius by positive radius. And you do have to do +1. Then we'll say that the y is always 0 and the z is also random. Then we're going to say that the rotation is a new quaternion, whoops, sorry, just quaternion.euler. Same thing. We will say a negative rotation of 180 through positive 180. And again, 0 along the Y. Although I think we only want to rotate it around one direction. Let's see which that is. If I spawn a fern... Where the hell is this fern? Oh god, why did I put a fern in the canvas? Alright, let's try that again. Fern on the grass. And the random rotation is the Y component. Sounds good. Although, this could go 0, 360, this could go negative, it doesn't really matter. But 0 and a random Y. And then we're also going to give it a random scale. So this will be 1 times random value. And then we'll say that it bottoms out at 0.4. So this will generate a number between 0.5 and 1.5, which means some of these will be large. Oh well. So, basic generator, given a radius of 32 and an amount of 16. Press play. Just random, random, random. Some stats that don't suck. There we go. And let's go. Well, some of the ferns are too big. That's apparently a problem. I forgot that their scale had to be scaled. Didunch. No, but really. We do need to divide 5 over the entire number. Because for whatever reason, this guy's idea of a fern, divide 3, was too big. Hey, Metax. And Digital Codex. Welcome to the channel. Ooh, 18 strength. I'm never going to turn down 18 strength. Alright, so now I look. There's some pretty basic ferns around me. So, first of all, they're not all in the middle area. Second, it appears that some of them are floating. Is that true? Or is that just... No. It's not true. So, the number of ferns is fine. We need to tell it that it's happening in a much smaller area. That's easy enough, right? 16? 16 ferns in a 16 area should be good. Let's try that. Those are some decent stats. Hey, look! Fern right in the middle of the battle. That means it's working, right? Yep. Looks like we have some ferns. We can, of course, adjust their size a little bit. I'm going to adjust the radius as well. We'll see that some of them are too big. The minimum size is okay, though. So let's divide by 4. And say the minimum value is 0.6. Hey, Boomtop. And Tima. Welcome to the chat. There we go. We have some very basic amount of ferns now, alright? For whatever reason, the ferns themselves are immune to fog, so that's a problem. So I'll have to look into that. Also, the floor, now that the ferns have grass, can become less grassy. So let's randomize it a little. Oh, whoops. This is a substance change. We have to do the substance change outside of live. There we go. So, random. We'll change the tuft size. There we go. Because we need less. Less tufts. I guess we'll make them larger to have less of them. There we go. Tuft width. This is grassy grass now. What did it look like before? It's random, so it's hard to tell. Ooh, what was that? Was that with, like, no grass? Interesting, interesting. So what if I make them smaller in every direction proportionally? Looks like we're good. And if I reduce the density of them... Well, okay, not quite that much. 5, 6, 5. 6. But as you can see, this is why I use substance. You can basically do whatever the hell you want with any component of the texture. It's not just a texture. That's the whole point. So I can make it less green as well. What do intense normals do to a plane? Nothing, huh? Hell, even no normals don't seem to do anything. Actually, are normals even being applied? Yes, they are. Okay. They're hard to tell, because the grass is pretty small. So, this is dirt grass now. Let's see what it looks like at night. And then day. I tried to play. There we go. So save. Press play. Look at the intensity and everything. It's fine. That doesn't look great. So having a more solid grass does look better. Ah, that's a real shame. Because substance is incredible. It lets you do so much. Like this configurable grass you're seeing. Like, literally, just by changing 2 of the properties of the texture. And that's what I'm saying, is that, like, say you have a metal object, and you use the substance, metal. The reason you would do that is that you can literally add rust. You could just say, oh yeah, this is 20% rusty. Oh, really? I have been sent some magic, have I? Alright, let me have a look. And let me also reduce the tuft density of the ground, because this is a little ridiculous. What happens if I make it 7? Also, can I make changes to this live? Wow. I can make changes live. I think that's only because I'm in the editor, though, to be fair. Yes, it is. So let's... Damn. That be some grass, yo. If I look down at the grass, it's grass. See what I can do about improving its... So you want to have less normals. Okay. And the height map is distracting as hell. And the occlusion? Not really doing anything. I mean, that's why you need to try them, right? Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not useful. How about albedo alpha? Ah, I see. Specular is what makes the dirt bits darker in this case. Alright, I like that. Now let's look at this magic. Hey, K-Krath. K-Kragoth. There we go. Jeez. Save our scene. Huh. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, as per why you're not a member, you can make yourself a member on the Discord. Which, hey, you know, when I plug the Discord. I run a small Discord community called Programming and Recording. Yeah, that's it. Feel free to join us if you want to talk about programming or recording, you know? And then let me change the creepy music a little. There we go. Should be a little better. Hey, Sivan, welcome to the chat. And Davy Lou. See, this is better music for what's happening right now. Still, I need to figure out why they're shiny. I didn't add a shiny component to their material. If anything, they're the opposite of specular. I guess they have to be a little bit so that the black doesn't happen. There is a magical thing on Blender. Or, not Blender, on Discord, huh? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I could import that. It has a definite idea of forward. Hey, Manish Nagal. Welcome to chat. He has 2 enemies over there. I should have them positioned at random, really, but for now, that'll do. Do I want to extend the grass any? Yes, I will extend it in this direction. God, I hate selecting the canvas. There we go. One more time in this direction. There we go. And then, you know, to be fair. Yeah, I don't know. I'm being fair to the land. They're plains, man. They are the cheapest possible. In fact, these might not even be plains. They might be quads. No, they're plains. Okay, they're not the cheapest. They actually have a lot of vertices. So, I'll have to replace those at one point with an actual terrain or something. But for now, that's good. So save this. They are static, so we are rebuilding lighting in the bottom right, as you can see. Hey, Marlon64. So we'll give Unity a moment to bake the lighting on this grass. The lack of lighting, I guess, huh? That'll change our fog a little bit. Which, do we have fog turned on? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We can see what that looks like from here, then. Except for that. Let's see. If we go away far... Yeah, it still can't really tell. So it's definitely based on the field of view. Which, by the way, let's increase the first-person field of view. An army formation simulator? I mean, it's true. Right now, they don't really move. I suppose they should take move actions. They shouldn't just go back to where they are. But that would be the next involvement. Evolution. Jeez. Because that would require redoing the way in which moves are calculated. You would have to select a move action. And I think that's the direction we're going in anyways. So, you know what? Why not? Why don't we draw a combat grid while we're at it, too? So, let's see. The grids would be drawn by... Is there a line drawer? I would have to draw lines based on the camera's direction. I wouldn't want to use a model to do that, because that would be a lot of vertices for a grid. I'm sure there's a GL draw line that I can access from C#. We'll look into that a little later. I think... And remember, the enemies are also randomly generated stats. See you, Paluna. I think I'd like to have more character properties that matter. It'd be difficult, but I'd still like it. Huh. Because our race and class level, everything else is perfectly fine. The constitution dictates our health. The dexterity dictates our defense. The strength dictates our melee damage and attack chance. The dexterity, our dodge. Intelligence, wisdom, and charisma still don't do anything because, well, in a battle simulator, they wouldn't. Thing is, though, intelligence determines your skills. So, that would be a thing for itself. You know what? I think we will leave it at that for today, because we've managed to get through an incredible amount. So, let's do one final battle here and see if we can't survive with our decent 13, 15, 14 stats. They're not great, they're decent. So, defend. There we go. Then select my target. Oh, shit. I need to be defending because I'm getting attacked right now. So defend. Defend, defend. Oh god, he destroyed me. Alright, attack. Boom. I love how I go through the fern to do that. Alright, defend. Because yes, your actions are in between turns. It's not as if they're explicit turn actions. There we go. Because this would be real time. You'd be planning the action that you're going to take in 6 seconds. Wow. Well, it looks like for our last battle of the day, we're going to lose. It's a real shame, but it is 3v1. And they do have the same stats I do. They just can't re-roll like I can. Alright, come on. Come on, come on. I can't die like this. Defend! It gives me a little bit of block chance. There we go. Let's kill this guy. If we can kill one of them, we have a... Oh, 114. That was a good hit, but not enough. Yep, I've died. Well, that's it for today, but I thank you for joining me, and I'd appreciate, you know, any support you want to give. You could give a follow on Twitter if you want to be notified for future streams, but they are scheduled daily for noon Pacific Standard Time or 8 p.m. British Standard Time. And it looks like they're just going to overkill me at this point. The blocking is a bit of a misnomer. That's more missing. So that's going to be renamed as well. And that should be above the player, not above the person. Because this isn't them blocking, this is miss. But hey, again, thank you for joining me.